In session 69, we'll be discussing and demonstrating factoring trinomial squares. Remember, trinomial means a three-termed polynomial. If we take a look here, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, that is a trinomial. But this particular trinomial can be created by having some type of binomial squared, some type of binomial being multiplied against itself. And in the second one, a squared minus 2ab minus b squared. This particular trinomial, here's our first term, second, and third, trinomial. This particular trinomial can also be created by a particular binomial being squared to produce this. The first case, we have a plus b, that entire phrase being squared. In the second one, we have a minus b being squared. Well, some of you might be able to see in your own mind how a plus b squared will produce this, but let's just go ahead and show how it works. A plus b squared is the same thing as a plus b times a plus b. That's what it means to have that phrase being squared against itself, or being squared by itself. So then, what's a times a? That's going to be a squared. What's a times our b? Well, that's going to be plus an ab. So that takes care of our first term in the distributive rule. Let's take a look at our second term here. Distribute it through as well. B times a is another plus ab. And then lastly, our b times b is going to be b squared. And all we've done here is we've taken this ab and this ab, combined them together to make two ab's. And that's where we get the 2ab up here. We have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That coincides and matches with our a squared plus 2ab plus b squared up here. So what we've just done is demonstrated a plus b squared is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. The only thing that's different down here in the second one is that we're going to have a negative here with a b. Well, we can go ahead and do it. A minus, or we'll start off with a minus b, and that's going to be multiplied by itself times a minus b. Let's distribute that through. A times a is a squared. Then we have a times a minus b. That's going to be a minus ab. Now we come to our second term. Minus b times a is another minus ab. And then minus b times a minus b is a plus b squared. This minus ab and this minus ab make a minus 2ab. And that matches what we have up here. A squared minus 2ab plus b squared matches our a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So this is just a shorthand way. We started off with our binomial and we squared it to produce our trinomial. Now that you've seen how that's been done, what we're going to now be doing is taking a look at trinomials, recognizing that they're squares and going backwards to factor them. So let's start off here. We have 16x to the fourth plus 32x squared plus 16. Here's our trinomial. Now the first question that we need to ask ourselves, is 16x to the fourth the square of something? In other words, is there some number times itself that'll give us 16x to the fourth? Well, yeah, there is. It's 4x squared. So that 4x squared is going to be our first term in both of our polynomials here. 4x squared times 4x squared is 16x to the fourth. That takes care of that. Now we come to our last term, which is our constant. Is 16 the square of something? Well, yes, it is. It's the square of 4. So we put a plus 4 here in both of these. However, what we still do not yet know is this middle term of 32x squared. Is that going to be the term that we get if we were to distribute this all the way through? Well, we could take each one of these and multiply it out and distribute it through to see if it works. But there's actually a little bit of a shorter way. And that's back to our original statement here. A plus b quantity squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Is a times b times 2ab. What's our a here? Our a is 4x squared. What's our b? 4. If we were to take this a times this b, that would give us 16x squared. Is this 32x squared twice it? Yes, it is. So this is, in fact, a square. 4x squared plus 4 multiplied by itself is going to give us not only the 16x to the fourth and the 16, it's also going to give us our 32x to the second. But let's just go ahead and multiply it out. 4x squared times 4x squared. That's, now let's drive over here. That's going to be 16x to the fourth. Then what we're going to do is take our 4x squared times our plus 4. That's going to be 16x squared. We now come to our second term in our first polynomial here. We now multiply that, distribute it through, multiply it by the 4x squared. That's going to be another 16x squared. And then we're going to take this 4 times this 4, which is going to be a plus 16. And as you can see here, this 16x to the fourth matches this one. This 16 here matches this. And if you take the 16x squared plus the 16x squared, that is 32x squared, and that matches what we have up here. So then, 4x squared plus 4 squared is going to produce for us 16x to the fourth plus 32x squared plus 16. Let's do one more, and that'll finish up this session here. Let's take a look at 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. We have a trinomial, tri meaning 3. Here's our 3 terms. In order for this, though, to be a trinomial of a square, we have to look at our x squared term and our constant term and see if they are both the squares of something. 9x squared. Is 9x squared the square of something? It sure is. It's the square of 3x. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Take a look at our constant term, our 25. Is that the square of something? Yes, it is. It's the square of 5. But if we take a look at our middle term here, our minus 30x, if we were to make this a plus 5 and a plus 5, and we started multiplying 5 times 3x, that would be a positive 15x, and this 5 times this 3x would be a positive 15x. That would give us a positive 30x. But what we're after is a minus 30x. But we're still not stuck yet, because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. If we made this a minus 5 and a minus 5, we are going to get a positive 25 when we multiply these two together. Now let's go ahead and multiply it through and see what our middle term gives us, and see if it matches what we started with. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times minus 5 is minus 15x. That takes care of our first term. We're going to take our second term now and distribute it. Minus 5 times 3x is another minus 15x. And then a minus 3, or excuse me, minus 5 times a minus 5 would be a plus 25. This minus 15x and this minus 15x combine together to give us a minus 30x. So what we are now left with is 9x squared minus 30x plus 25, and that is in fact what we started with. So 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5 does equal 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. And another way of rewriting this is just simply 3x minus 5 squared. Okay, then, as a quick review, a plus b squared will produce a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. This is our trinomial that factors back into this. And then here, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared factors back into a minus b parentheses squared. And once again, this will take some practice to be able to look at a trinomial and be able to recognize whether or not it's a square. But if you can go straight toward the factor of either a plus b squared or a minus b squared, depending on whether your middle term is negative or positive. Okay, that finishes session 69.